They made you feel that you needed them when the reverse was true. They needed you more. You have been close to this person, very close. You did everything together. This person collected information from you. They gathered more than was necessary. They noticed your patterns, they noticed your fears, they know your moments of doubt. They collected all this information and they used it against you without you realizing that they were using it against you. Sometimes they even showed up as helpers because they know everything about you. They know when to step in and when to step out. They actually have been using you for their own ends, but making it feel like you were the one using them. To you, you see them as your pillar, your support system. But they see you as a tool in their hands, a tool they use to achieve their ends. It might even happen that they would deliberately put a stop to your project and offer help. They will put a stop to your project without you knowing they are the ones behind, and then they come to offer help to make it feel like they were there for you. They always come through for you. Anytime they are around, you felt safe. You felt like you were guided. You were happy. You felt like you were protected. Their absence felt like something is missing. Whenever you felt confused or hesitant in the face of a problem, this person offered solutions. This person offered reassurance when you doubted yourself, when you questioned yourself. And in doing so, they slowly positioned themselves as a very necessary or important person in your life. You felt useless and desperate when this person was not around. There was no major decision in your life you would take without consulting them first. They came first in everything. They had succeeded to plant themselves in that number one position. In almost every major setback that you have had, this person was the cause of most of them. But the camouflage they always brought in concealed their identity behind your setbacks. Because whenever they caused a setback, they quickly rushed in with a solution. They gave you a solution. They kept giving you more. So you thought, not knowing that they were the actual reason for all you were going through. So the more they gave you, the more clingy you became to them, the more attached you became. And even when they stepped back, they didn't step back enough for you to walk away. So they always had strings that held you back. They didn't leave their ropes. They gave it, but they held it so you could stay in place. They kept you in a space where you would continue to return, believing that that you needed them the most when they needed you more. They needed you more because they could manipulate you. They could get information from you. They could extort from you. But it was all covered up to make it seem like it was the other way around and you were happy to be in that space. But nothing hidden remains hidden forever. That time finally came when the veils fell off. You saw the face behind the mask. Finally, a time came where you began to notice little inconsistencies, little cracks that showed that some things were just not aligning. Misalignment came to light. You began to notice how your strengths were only acknowledged when they served them, and how your vulnerabilities were revisited at moments that benefited them only. And also how your growth was subtly redirected when it threatened their position. You now began to awaken. You began to see clearly that the person that seemed like your helper was actually your stumbling block. The person was never your helper. The person was your manipulator. The person held you as like his remote control. But it was time for you to break free. And it wasn't going to be easy. It was never an easy task to break free. It was only at this point you realized that you were never as dependent as you were made to believe. The strength that you thought you were borrowing had always belonged to you. It was your strength. Even the confidence you thought came from them was always within you, just waiting for the moment that you would recognize it without external influence. They did not create your value. They simply positioned themselves in a place where they could benefit from it. Reason why they stayed close, why they listened carefully to everything you said, and they remained present even when it seemed unnecessary. Your energy, your perspective, your insight, and even your uncertainty played an important role in sustaining them, something they knew they could not build by themselves. And so they remained, always not out of care, but because they could soak out what they needed from you. The realization of the kind of person that they were came with some kind of freedom that can never be taken from you again. You now began to understand that not everybody that stands by you is ready to work with you, and that not everyone who listens to you listens carefully to understand. Some are there to study you and shape the space around you in their favor. This awareness is not meant to make you fearful, but to make you to be able to discern and see clearly moving forward. It is equally not meant to make you retreat from connection, but to be able to recognize the difference between those who align with you for your growth and those who simply depend on your unawareness. When you step forward with clarity, you do not lose anything real. You simply release what was built on imbalance and you reclaim what was always yours from the very beginning. You did not need them, they needed you instead.